Welcome to the Growth Minded Accountant podcast, where our experts will share best practices on running your firm in the digital age. This podcast is brought to you by CountingWorks Pro. Let's get started.
Welcome back to another episode of the Growth Minded Accountant podcast. I am your host, Lee Reams, and today I am joined with Rebekah Barton, our Chief Visibility Officer. Rebekah, if you can say hello.
Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, I was discussing before. We skipped the last podcast. I did one on pricing and advisory, and Rebekah wasn't with us. But a lot has been going on in Indiana, where you're based, since we last spoke. So between Indiana football, all of a sudden being the kings of Indiana, and now Notre Dame running home, with their ball kind of thing, and then of Stranger Things of all things, there's a lot going on in Indiana. So
there's a lot.
I've learned all about the upside down, so I'm ready for Christmas. My daughter says Christmas.
It's true. An upside down pop-up we've never had. And I feel like they're very remiss from a marketing standpoint here in the state.
All right. Well, let's see what happens. Today, we are talking about something that I think is somewhat undervalued in this profession. I hear it often. And I think this is a critical item. We've talked around it a lot, but if you want referrals, more importantly, if you want advisory opportunities, if you want your firm to survive in the AI age, you need to be top of mind with both your client base, your prospects, and more importantly, tools like ChatGPT and Google AI. So most firms, and I call this the client experience layer. So there's three layers of running a firm, right? You're going to have layer one, which is the work, my tax software, my bookkeeping software, my deliverables. Layer two is going to be kind of the team, our workflow, our practice management. But layer three, the client experience, is often the most important layer of them all. That's your onboarding, your communication, your newsletter, your reminders, your web visibility, your visibility on tools like ChatGPT. So today we're going to talk about how to optimize top of mind, how it's so important. And it's just not marketing. It's not just posting more on social media or blogging. It's not about shouting louder. It's deeper than that. And top of mind is your moat. Your client relationship is your biggest asset, right? So it protects you from competitors. It's going to protect you from AI-driven tools. It's going to keep your value in the minds of your clients as they start seeing all this different noise. And I call it, it's kind of like keeping them from these shiny new tools that have no real authority. If you have created that moat, if you're top of mind with your client, I think you're going to be very successful in this AI age. So let's jump into this a little bit and talk about, and I'm going to go to the myth. And Rebekah, this is the idea. I don't need to market. I am so busy as is. Why do I care about top of mind? I'm already running, as fast as I can, is making as much money as I can. How do you usually talk about that to our clients?
So there's a lot to unpack here, and obviously we'll get into some of it a bit more. But I think one of the biggest things is that marketing is not just to get new clients. Marketing is about upselling existing clients. It's about getting better clients, not just more clients. It's about allowing you to streamline who you're serving and maybe get rid of some of those compliance-only people or people who, don't necessarily come back year after year, those sorts of things, in order to offer these higher value advisory services. That's been the buzzword for a couple of years in the tax and accounting world. We believe here that marketing is not about posting more or being busier or spending hours of your day on social media. It's about being intentional with what you're posting and being intentional with your messaging in order to garner the types of clients that you really want to work with.
Yeah, and we're talking about this client experience layer, and this is, whether clients decide to trust you or how much they trust you. And I think that is a core in anything from upselling advisory, how long they stay with you. Will they refer you? Do they leave 5-star reviews for your practice? Do they remember you between the seasons, quote unquote? So most firms, today are missing this layer completely. And that's why I think things feel chaotic at times. So when someone says, hey, I don't need marketing, the real question is, how are you staying top of mind, the other 10 months of the year? Because if you're not showing up, someone else will. And now this new giant albatross ChatGPT is like, oh, there's top of mind, not only in the human side, but I got to be in these conversational LLMs as well. So being busy is great. It means demand is there. But staying busy means you need to stay visible, right? So marketing systems just don't add work. They help you upgrade your client mix. reduce what I call client overwhelm. That is this, I am so busy, my head is spinning, I can't keep up with any new clients anyways. Why do I need to market, right? And stay top of mind automatically. So, busy doesn't mean the right clients. And this is something I think people need to understand. Often it means you're underpriced or overloaded. Okay. So marketing isn't necessarily for more clients, it's for better ones, right? Fewer high value advisory ready clients. And what happens is when you start looking at systems, they give you your time back. So onboarding, your client communication, e-signatures, all these things automated. Those are things that keep your firm, if it's a great experience, top of mind. And that what that does is that protects your revenue, right? So clients forget fast, competitors appear faster. And we've seen this already in the just the how the AI has changed even in the employment demand, how firms are investing in the future. So there's a lot of things that are happening today that if you don't stay top of mind, I think it's going to be a problem. So let's go back to what top of mind actually means, Rebekah. So how would you define this?
Top of mind to me is staying in your client's mind, staying in the forefront of their inbox, staying in the forefront of their social media throughout the year. It's not just a tax season thing. It's not just letting them know, hey, we're here for you when it comes to filing your taxes every April. It's letting people know that you're there for them when life events happen throughout the year, when they need advisory, when they decide to open a business, when they decide to sell a home, when they decide to start a new savings account for a new baby. All of these different things that happen throughout the year. Being top of mind means that you're the first professional who pops into their head when they realize they need help with anything related to their financial life.
Yeah, and so you don't want them to have to Google. If someone says, "Hey, do you have a recommendation for, I'm trying to together a new company. I got to figure out my business entity type. I got to establish controls and accounting systems." It's not where, oh, let me Google this, or hey, let me think about that a little bit. Top of mind, if you're doing your job in outbound marketing communications, means they remember you without trying, right? Your name pops up immediately anytime they're talking about taxes or someone's talking about money, payroll, equity comp, anything. And that's the equivalent of, let's just say, a favorite restaurant in your area. If someone new's coming in, top of mind, Rebekah, would be what? I know right away, these are the places I would recommend. And why is that so important when it comes to the tax and accounting side is kind of like a good example.
So it is a good example because you want to be the very first person who comes to mind. You want not only within people's minds. So if you ask someone, you want to have a good enough reputation with what you do that you're going to immediately pop into people's heads as the premier professional in your area for advisory services, for wealth planning, for whatever it is that people may need, but also on the AI side. So I think we've done a podcast on how your next referral may not come from a person, it may come from an AI system. And I think this is where being top of mind matters both in human minds, but also within AI minds, so to speak. So by kind of establishing yourself as the premier provider of whatever services or whatever niches you're serving within your region, you can be top of mind in all of these areas and therefore be the first recommendation and thus the most likely person to get the phone call. People typically go with the first recommendation they receive as long as the reputation is solid.
And let's just go, okay, how do you establish top of mind? So we talked about this client experience layer. So let's give, 4 or 5 takeaways, things that you see our best producing firms doing, that it's outbound, it's pulling in people, it's creating content, it's owning a niche. But what are, some takeaways here on these small touches repeatedly? So that's the thing. Consistency is a huge deal here. You just don't put together a top of mind strategy or process and then do it for a month and stop. But give some takeaways here on how you would tackle that as kind of like the easy wins from, that you could take from this podcast.
Of course. So there are just a few things that I want everybody to be doing that our best performing firms do. One of those is segmentation, sending segmented newsletters, segmented emails that really hone in on exactly what different factions of your clients need at any given time. That's super important. So I think segmentation is one. 2 would be video. Video is king on the internet. People love video, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Reels, whether it's TikTok videos. It doesn't really matter which platform. Whatever platform performs the best for you and you're most comfortable with, you need to be doing some type of video in this day and age. 3rd is blogs. The internet still loves blogs. And I tell people very often that it doesn't matter if your blogs are getting thousands of views. That's a big piece of pushback I get. Well, nobody even reads them. It doesn't really matter if they're getting thousands of views because the internet still cares. When someone is in GPT and they've established a relationship with that AI assistant and they're asking about a topic that you have created a content cluster around, guess what GPT is going to recommend? It's going to recommend that content cluster because you still have web authority, even if it's not necessarily getting, thousands of views a week. So blogging matters significantly. And I also want to say that speaking to people throughout the year is critical. I think a lot of tax professionals fall into this trap of only advertising their services or only landing in someone's inbox when it's January. And that's not helpful when it comes to getting year-round top-of-mind clients who need you at different points of the year. So that's where things like sending, emails at different times of year, just reminding them of upcoming tax deadlines, business tax deadlines, life events, different things like that. Those can all be really good ways to just stay top of mind for all of your clients throughout the year, no matter what their needs are.
So you had mentioned how the game is moving to AI and ChatGPT perplexity. Obviously, Google is making was it a year ago? Google's dead. They're gonna OpenAI is gonna kill them, and it's like surprise, surprise. They have the machine and the distribution, and it's really hard to disrupt. So what happens now when we're saying top of mind is not just staying visible to your humans, your current clients, prospects that you're trying to market to. It's now staying visible to the machines. And you had mentioned a couple ways to do that, but explain a little bit the difference, because there's a lot of tax and accounting firms that are, I don't know if it's just people they talk to or their vendors are still doing these old world SEO blue link techniques, and they have a total disconnect of where all the search has gone to and how it's different. Keyword based versus conversational based. So explain how you become top of mind inside that ecosystem. I'm talking about the AI ecosystem where AI treats you like the expert, and in order to do that, you need to publish like an expert. That's where the niche comes in. That's where reviews from other third parties come in, and that's really where you can create this incredible moat. So how do you set that up? What are the techniques that you're seeing work today that can really help people's visibility top of mind with these AI bots?
There are a lot of things you can do. And this is actually one of my favorite things to talk with clients about right now, because there is such an opportunity here. It's easier to rank with an AI than it ever was in Google. You're not playing the game against Forbes and NerdWallet and all of the big guns, H&R Block. You're not doing that anymore. If you have true authority in an area, AI will recommend you, especially if you're local to the area. AI develops relationships with people in a way that Google never did. So it understands their intent better than Google ever did. It understands facets of their life that play into their financial needs more than Google ever did. So you need to approach it differently than you ever did with Google. This is not about keywords. It's not about the blue links. Like you said, it's not about backlinking. Not that these things don't matter at all, but they matter significantly less in geo, which is generative engine optimization, than they did in the SEO world. So what we want to focus on is creating content clusters that focus on specific topics, really building authenticity, really providing your expertise, giving people advice that is actionable, that they can use, and highly local content is also really important here. So you want to be focusing on people in your target market physically, in your geographic location. That's just a few. I could do a whole podcast just on
I know, we've done it. We're talking top of mind right now. So I get it. You telling the type of content you create, but I think there's a disconnect, and you need to finish the circle. It's about having your own personality, being authentic, having your own firm narrative or your personal narrative as well. How do you infuse that into your marketing communications, your web presence to feed AI your personality? That then the AI engines can match up kind of your attributes with their users' attributes and give them highly personal, top of mind recommendations.
A great place to start is to think of the personality you want your firm to have. And to be cohesive then with that copy and with that personality across all of your platforms. We have one client who I love. They're really not afraid of being a little bit sarcastic. They're not a typical tax and accounting firm. We were able to use a lot of humor on their website. It's kind of funny. It's kind of in your face, but it's very high level expertise. That kind of thing is going to stand out to an AI system. It's not the type of copy you normally see on a generic tax and accounting site. It's very, we'll tell it to you like it is. And it was a lot of fun to work on, but it also always stands out to me as a great example of infusing the personality of the accountant into the website. So think about the personality you have, think about the personality you want your firm to have if it were a person, and then start using that in all of your communications. The more cohesive and comprehensive you are with developing your brand persona, the better off you're going to be in AI systems. It wants to see that, hey, the Facebook posts match the tone of the blog posts, match the tone of the YouTube videos, match the tone of, this random guest blog they did for a local business organization. All of these things matter, and they all come together on the back end of the web to form your brand persona. And there is nothing that is more important in the AI age than your brand persona and your brand identity.
Yeah, and a way to think about it is, let's say you want to portray your firm as a boutique, CFO advisory firm for tech startups. So that's starting kind of your persona online. If you're infusing then, hey, we work in a certain region and we know this region better. We're Silicon Valley, and then you start infusing talking points of I like hiking in the mountains and I go to Tahoe on the weekends and whatever. I'm just giving you some example. We go to Yosemite and we start tying in all these parts, all these topics, all these points of view into your narrative. Explain to me then how a tool first of all, I think you'd be more top of mind, better, tighter relationship with your humans because you're doing that. And we just had some examples. I think we had a firm in Indiana that they're in a smaller town, but they included all these great historical buildings in their website. And then they had really professional images of them in the area, in the neighborhoods. And that really tightens that kind of, hey, I'm here for you. It makes that relationship tighter. Explain like the psychology about that and why that's so important when we talk about how to be top of mind for whatever you're trying to do.
Absolutely. I'm laughing because I drive past this particular firm every time I go to the Home Depot, so I'm very familiar with them. But yes, what you said is super, super accurate, and it's smart for firms to lean into this. So to be top of mind, you do need to have a relationship with either the person or the AI system. So in order to do that, the best thing you can do is build a connection with them, right? People think first, AI systems recommend first the businesses that they have the deepest connection with. So if you're doing things like posting photos in the community, posting about community events you're involved in, actually physically being involved in the community, having booths at local festivals, all of these things kind of come together to help you be the very first professional that comes to mind or gets recommended by AI systems when it comes to people asking for tax and accounting help in that area. So it's really all about connection and authenticity, which is what it comes down to a lot, not only with relationships with actual people, but AI systems function very similarly in that way. They want to know that you're trustworthy. They want to know that you're involved. They want to know that you care, and they want to understand what exactly you're doing to build connections with people in that local area.
So basically, they're curating a story, almost like a movie trailer about your firm based on information it's finding about you online. And what you're trying to do by being consistent is it's like repeatable. The internet and algorithms start seeing similar talking points, similar areas of expertise, similar topics that you're talking about. And that's how you now become that persona, that superhuman, that super accountant for X and X user. So yeah, explain then what other sources feed that trailer content, meaning, something maybe on Reddit or your reviews on TaxBuzz or Yelp. Kind of explain that a little bit more so people understand that starts in creating your total story. So your story is not just what you put out there on the internet. It's also what the other people's points of view. And that's how both humans process information and how the algorithms do it. So explain that a little bit more and we'll start wrapping this thing up.
Yeah, exactly. So it is very important. Everywhere you're mentioned online ultimately plays a role in your brand identity. I think that's something that's really critical to remember because it doesn't matter if you're the one who mentioned yourself or if someone else mentioned you. Every mention of you plays into what the internet thinks about your firm. So this is why positive reviews are so important. social proof, people talking about you on the internet. It's also why the things you do in your actual day-to-day business matter so much online, because if you're doing something like hosting a booth at a local festival, for example, then someone posts about you on their social media, hey, my kids had a great time at this game that was sponsored by X business. That's going to play into you being a community involved, family friendly, client first firm. So all of these little things that you might not think have a huge impact, especially not on the internet, they actually can the second someone makes a post about you. It's also really important to remember that AI systems in particular pull very heavily from Reddit. Lee just mentioned Reddit. That's a great place to get involved with posting. AI systems pull a lot of answers from Reddit, so it's a really good place to start establishing authority. It's also a good place to get some eyes on your content that might not find you in another place. They might not be reading blogs or getting your newsletter, but they might be asking a question on Reddit about tax and accounting help. Another place is YouTube. I've already kind of mentioned YouTube, but YouTube can be huge in AI systems. It pulls YouTube videos very heavily, especially if they answer very specific questions in a way that is very tangible and makes a lot of sense to people. So if you start a series, say, answering common tax questions in your city, you have a really good chance of ranking really fast. And that's just a couple of examples. There are thousands of ways that you can get eyes on your content, thousands of topics you can cover. But these are just a few kind of simple ways to actually get started and actionable things you can do to start building that brand identity. I highly recommend sitting down and thinking of some attributes you want your firm to have, and then using those and infusing those attributes into all of the content you put out there, whether it's an email response or a social media post or a full-blown evergreen blog post that's 2,000 words. Everything you do does matter, and it all adds up to help you be that top of mind professional in your area.
So let's wrap this up. I think the theme here today is the big idea is top of mind is your moat. It's your defense. It's your unfair advantage if done correctly. So, think about it this way. AI tax tools can file a return. Obviously, Intuit just invested, what, 100 million or did a $100 million deal with OpenAI. So, there's a lot of things that are going to happen. Software companies can start automating onboarding. Competitors can undercut your pricing, but none of that can replace trust you've built slowly and consistently over years and years. So if you want a moat, this is it. It's inexpensive. It compounds. It's evergreen, meaning it can protect itself. And once you establish it, it protects your firm from this disruption. So when a client thinks of you first, everyone else is basically invisible. They're not going to ChatGPT asking for help, right? And that's the power of top of mind. So it's the accountant's version of being the default choice. So hopefully we've kind of wrapped up why top of mind is so important and why I see so many firms missing this element altogether. And if you did step back, perhaps looked at your client base, maybe look at your processes, maybe say, hey, maybe if I invested more in this, would I have better clients, higher paying clients? Maybe I could increase my compensation threefold, fourfold with fewer clients just because I kind of identified and I didn't let the business run me. I started running my business. So I think this is really important. Obviously, at CountingWorks Pro, we kind of circle around this entire process. The client experience layer is what we are all about, right? So how do you optimize this? How do you automate it? How do you keep it in your tone? That's what we do here with Max and CountingWorks Pro. So there are ways. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, but we talked about a lot of things. So hopefully this does resonate. I believe the future is going to be about firms that are able to protect their moats, protect their client relationships and get as much revenue per client as possible. I think that's really the moat that you should be working on. So it's not about shouting. It's not about advertising. It's just showing up consistently in all places your clients already look. So that's social, on the web, reviews, showing up on ChatGPT. So hopefully this has been valuable. Hopefully it's sparked something for you, because top of mind truly is the hidden driver behind and you see it, Rebekah. What are the firms that are doing the best? They're following all these examples and they're killing it. And they are getting advisory work. We had a client who just turned on our advisory playbooks. Yes. And I don't even know if they didn't realize we turned it on during the onboarding process. So all of a sudden they're coming back going, wow, getting so many inquiries. I got all these advisory clients. It is as simple as just doing it, putting it in the system and being consistent. And just give some feedback of what that client had to say.
So yeah, that was actually a great conversation. He was like, I don't know where all these advisory calls are coming from. And we showed him that, it had been turned on for him. And he was really excited. But it just goes to show that it does work. Our playbooks obviously are very tailored to specific niches, to specific service offerings. And they're basically drip campaigns that just go out automatically and let our clients know, hey, I offer this. Hey, this is available to you. And he's proof positive that it is working and that following these steps, having these custom narratives, expressing your personality on your website, it does all matter and it does all make a difference. And it actually has an impact on your bottom line and on how you're able to help your clients. So it's really a win-win all around for people. There's no reason to not be following these steps, and you should see a lot of success from it, hopefully.
All right, we'll wrap this up. Stay visible, show up consistently, build your moat, and hopefully this resonates with you. A few takeaways here or there that you can put into your practice in the coming months. So we'll see you next time on the Growth Minded Accountant. Please feel free to share our link with non-competitors. Feel free to comment, ask us questions, either on the YouTube version or Apple Podcasts or wherever we put this. So we appreciate you being a listener, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.